Hello, baby. You look good today. Want to read some comics? No? Well, fuck you then. Okay. So, this week on Batmaniac, I'm going to be going through the Court of Owls, what I've read up to so far, which is issue number 6. So, I've got the whole collection of the full run up to now, but I'm just going through each section of the series. So, got a few covers to see a rough idea what they look like. So, this is, I think, my variant cover for number 0. The normal number 0, number 1, and the variant cover is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. Okay. And then obviously there's the Court of Owls box set that I have. So it's pretty nice. Got a little mask in there as well as the volumes. So it says here the Court of Owls. Basically, they've got this rhyme that everyone knows is supposed to be a myth, and you hear this throughout this series. So it is: beware the Court of Owls that watches all the time, ruling Gotham from a shadowed perch behind granite and lime. They watch you at your hearth, and they watch you in your bed. Speak not a whispered word of them, or they'll send the Talon for your head. So basically, the Talon, this is the Court of Owls here. The Talon is like the assassin, enforcer, and pretty much, this is going to be spoiler filled, so you're warned. So, 3, 2, 1, spoiler alert. So, the Court of Owls is like this underground, kind of like cult. It's kind of just like, they're like these people who pull the strings in Gotham. They're kind of like this secret society underground, kind of like Freemasons or the Illuminati, anything like that. And, they've just got a fetish with owls, the same as you see in plenty of movies with cults. They've got some kind of animal symbolism. This is no different. So, they pretty much, for hundreds of years, have had this order, and they've been assassinating people that threatened Gotham in a particular way, but not in a bad way. So, it looks, for the most part, from the story, it looks like anyone who's trying to better Gotham, who's trying to give it hope, make it decent, make it good, they're executed. And in a painful way, because these are skilled assassins, they're not pushovers, they're skilled and they know how to hurt you before they kill you. So, I'm going to skip through little bits of the story, because there'll be things I forget. But we do start off with a Red Hood gang, you know, like the typical Red Hood. And they are robbing a store, I think, or a bank, and it starts off pretty violent. Like, as soon as you start reading this, you're like, wow, this is an interesting series straight away. It's pretty savage. But yeah, throughout this series, so far, there's been bits that have shocked me, a little bit out of the mythos. So, for the most part, we find, I think it's Tim Drake. This is where I can't fucking remember, but as far as I remember, it's Tim Drake. And read this. So, most of the story is based on Batman finding an underground cult, right? So, yeah, so here we have this Red Hood gang. They pretty much say, everyone on the ground or we'll kill you all. And then one of them, instead of, when they're told to, instead of executing one of the, one of the hostages, they merely knock them out. And that makes the leader suspicious, because it says number 5 would never choose to knock someone out over killing them. And they're also holding your gun in the wrong hand. He's left-handed. And then, And then basically, you find out that it's kind of like it's Bruce, I think, and everyone's been poisoned. Like there are people who are already dead. You know, so you just kind of feel like, well, that was kind of stupid. The greatest detective in the world has made these silly mistakes. And at the start, he is just making really trivial mistakes. So I'm just kind of looking through this so I remember. But this seems pretty early on in the story. Because Bruce is testing out batarangs and it's like how skilled he is. He's like testing out batarangs and he throws one at the wall and it's got a 4-minute timer. Then Commissioner Gordon comes up and he starts talking about this vigilante Batman and blah 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 blah. And how he's a vigilante and it's not good, and like to see that you're thinking in your head that timer is ticking down and down and down, and Bruce is just standing there, and it's like you're just hoping Commissioner Gordon goes for it. It explodes like 1 minute, you just see it, and they're still talking. It's like a minute, half an hour left, and then it shows you another storyline, with I think Tim Drake, because it does like a lot of not moving back and forth between the stories of like different Robins. So one of them, I think it was Tim Drake, but pretty much he's like he's in college, I'm assuming, or he's at Greystone Academy. Yeah, it's Tim Drake. Robin. So he's there, and the teachers talk about how he thinks he's cheated on tests. It's the principal, and like Tim's just fucking around with him, like being nonchalant. He pretty much just finds out through his genius that the principal had been like siphoning money and embezzling it. So then you see like a fast track of him in the Red Hood gang, like a cheap version, and they're pulling off a heist, and they kill this innocent woman, and Tim's just having misgivings like, oh no, you said no one would get hurt, and they do. So so you see how upset he is, and then the next one it shows you no. The one in the Red Hood gang is Jason Todd. So that's obviously not the bad Robin, but the bad Robin for the most part. So obviously because he was in the Red Hood and then under the Red Hood. So you see him trying to heist a convenience store, and this woman gets hurt and starts beating the shit out of the guy. Then it fast forwards to Dick Grayson when he's with the Flying Graysons and someone tries to rob them, and Dick beats them up. So you kind of like see it's just showing you all the Robins. But for the most part in the story, here's what happens on the real. Bruce is trying to do a benefit for Gotham. He's trying to start a project that's going to pretty much renew Gotham, make it look good, give people a bit of hope because it'll look better. So that's pretty much what he's doing. And the new guy that's running for mayor, Lincoln, he is on Bruce's side, and they pretty much want support, and he wants to support Bruce, and blah 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 blah. It's pretty much like that. They pretty much just want to rub each other up so they both get promotion and get the money and whatever. So, so the GCPD find that there's a guy that's been murdered, but he's been murdered slowly, and usually, basically, he's been dead for a long time, but his rent has been paid in cash on time, how he usually paid it anyway. So there's no reason for anyone to figure it out. So he's been dead, about a week odd, and for the most part, like you see that he'd been stabbed with loads of knives, like throwing knives, and he'd been pierced multiple times, but they'd missed every major artery for the most part. So it's like they killed him in a really slow way. And then you see that he'd kind of left a message that Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow. But if he died a week ago, they kind of thought, well, it's been a week and Bruce isn't dead, but if it was a week ago, then, and he knew he wouldn't be found until, he missed the rent or whatever, like, because they came for the rent at the same time, he knew he wouldn't get found until this date, so he put tomorrow, so they'd know that it was then. So he left a little message on, and Batman figured it out. So basically follows all these leads, and it pretty much leads to Lincoln being attacked by the Talon for trying to do better for Gotham, and Bruce being attacked by the Talon trying to do better for Gotham. So the whole story is about them trying to get assassinated, and whereas Bruce just keeps digging deeper and deeper into the story and finds out that that these people murdered his grandfather. So he obviously he was trying to better Gotham, and he got murdered, and pretty much it's just Batman looking for all these perchers. And then when he does finally, after fighting the Talon 2-3 times, it kind of gets to the point where, like, when Batman gets down there, you kind of feel it's all eerie. For a comic, it's quite creepy, quite eerie, quite gruesome, and you kind of feel the sense that you, like, someone's watching you. Kind of like how Bruce, I don't know how they made you feel that way, but you feel really anxious, like someone's watching you, you're being watched. When you're reading it, you feel like you're Batman, and you're walking through these sewers, and you're trying to find these perchers, and every time you think you've got a lead, you can't be careful, you're not safe enough because there's someone there. So he finds all these leads, and he does his detective work, and he figured out a long time ago that sometimes buildings built a 13th floor, because obviously it was bad luck, so they contain all the bad luck in one floor. So Bruce had figured out, he found this owl symbol, and he followed the lead, and he ended up in this abandoned place. There was nothing there. He thought, well, it'll be a Court of Owls meeting place. Maybe they're real. Maybe they killed my family and it wasn't an accident, because they couldn't have been killed by just an accident. They were too good of people. And then he finds out that he woke up afterwards and he'd been in a coma for a while, because obviously he'd been attacked in there. So he just keeps thinking it's a myth, because maybe he doesn't want to deal with it, but he starts going through these labyrinths while he's down there, and there's flickering lights and things that just fuck with him, like images of his parents and pictures on the wall of people who've been assassinated, and all this. It just feels like he's in over his head, like he's outnumbered, they're playing psychological warfare, and they're damn good at it. And then the book changes, like the actual comic book changes. Instead of going vertical, it kind of goes horizontal. So instead of reading it like this, you read it like that with a page up. So you'll read one page and you're like, okay, it's changed there. Then I have to read it like that, and then you're just like looking at the front and back cover, like, so now which way do I go? And you read that way, and then you'll read to there, and then it's like, okay, so I'll pick up there, and then now it's there, and then now it's there, and at first I didn't figure it out, and now it's pretty much like that's the labyrinth that he's in. You feel as confused, as out of your depth, as fucking scared as he is, because you just don't know where you're going. You don't know which way is left, which way is right, which way is down. It's very creative. I like that. It was interesting. First I thought maybe it's a print fault, but then you realise there's no way they would have printed it that way by accident. One thing I have a problem with, when Batman actually reaches the Court of Owls and they're there, and the Talons pretty much just said, Batman, you have been sentenced to death by the Court of Owls. The Talon then, obviously, because he's not in charge, he's just an assassin, he then asks the Court of Owls how they like him killed. And some people say, like, oh, quick death, and some people say cut his feet off, and the people say stab him, and then there's like, ask the littlest of us, and the littlest girl was like, just says like she wants to make him feel pain and torture and getting tortured, and the Talon just going beating him up, like really beating the shit out of him, and the little girl just saying more, and then Talon does more, and then she's screaming more, and it just goes on for like 2 pages of her screaming, and you just think, fucking hell, he's nearly dead. It's like when Bane had broke his back and they're just hammering on him till he was nearly dead. So then you just keep thinking, he's broken. You can hear Batman saying, got no strength left, I'm broken, kind of like he wants to die, he's just had enough and he can't beat it. And then out of nowhere, for some reason, he gets defiant, he gets back up, and he beats the shit out of the Talon, beats the fuck out of him. And I couldn't see where he got this energy from when it already said, like, you know, he'd beaten, he'd broken this, he'd done this, he did this to him, he's kicked him through a wall, he's completely fucked up, no one else would get up from that. And the only thing I can think of is him just going, I'm the Batman. You know, that's the only excuse for it. You don't need a reason for why he got up, he's the fucking Batman. And that's all you need. So for story-wise, I love this. I found it intriguing. There's a lot more. It's much more in depth than I've explaining. That's pretty much just the overview of it. I've missed loads out, but it's really interesting to see that this is something that's like, oh well, this makes sense, but at the same time, this mythos came out of nowhere. So it's like, in a sense, in the series, they're trying to rewrite what happened, which is. They like Thomas and Martha Wayne weren't killed by just this Joe Chill, this normal guy, this random thief on one night. They were executed, which is kind of like, but how would that work out if they were killed by the Court of Owls when they were shot and they sent the Talon for your head usually? You know, so it's like that, and you just feel like this is this ancient curse that's plagued the Waynes for a long time, and you know. So I'm not sure whether or not the series continues after what I've read up to, but I'm assuming it does because there's like Night of Owls and things like that. But this storyline I loved very much. I liked it more than I thought I'd like it. It's kind of psychological in some ways, and when you watch this, you feel paranoid. When you read this, you feel like something's gonna happen. Like you don't know what's quite wrong, like what's gonna happen, but you always feel on the edge of your seat, like you're being watched. So okay, it messed with the mythos a little bit. Okay. It's not your classic villains, okay, they're just wearing normal plain masks, but it's the fact they have no faces. It's kind of like the faces on The Purge, where they've got all these normal character kind of faces, and you can still see their hair and things. It's just the fact that we have a problem with things that look sort of human, but entirely not human. So they look human, but you do feel like they're not just these fucked up people. They are mutant, they are powerful, they are supernatural. You just kind of feel like they are complete and utter evil. Now this really does draw parallels to me with the movie The Purge, the Purge Anarchy, where there's just all these rich people who want anonymity, and they're just fucked up people, and you're just like, they're high class, but they're just down there when it comes to morals. But yeah, all the time I was reading this book, I kept thinking, okay, is the mayor a owl? Is this person an owl? And you just kind of feel all the time like you don't know who you can trust. You don't know who's an owl. You can't talk to anyone. You've got to be careful. You know, and I just really enjoyed this story. You know, it's only 6 issues in that I've read, but obviously I've got another 30 odd to read, which is very interesting. It's a good start to the series. It starts off strong. It starts off fucking with your head like it should do, making you feel like if you're Batman, you're getting fucked with. So I completely loved and enjoyed that. So, is it worth a read? Yeah. Does it mess with the mythos? Yeah, a little bit, but, you know, it's worth it. So that's just, issues 0 to 6 of Batman the New 52. So the next issues will either be 1 to 6, or the first part story of Batman Eternal, or the first part of Detective Comics. So, yeah, have a nice day. See you later.